Picture this. It's a Tuesday night. The kids are finally asleep, the dishes are done, and you're sitting at the kitchen table. Phone in your hand, banking app open, and there it is. Your balance, staring back at you. Maybe it's a few thousand, maybe a little more, maybe a little less. And somewhere in the back of your mind, this one word floats up: millionaire. It feels like it belongs to someone else, doesn't it? A property mogul, a tech founder, some bloke who got in early on something you've never even heard of. Not you. Not on a normal Aussie wage, not with a mortgage and a grocery bill that keeps climbing. But here's what almost nobody tells you. The average Australian who becomes a millionaire doesn't do it fast. They don't pick one hot stock. They don't flip 10 properties. They don't gamble it all on a coin. They do something so boring, it almost sounds like a trick. And by the end of this video, you'll know the exact monthly number it takes. You'll know how long it really takes on an ordinary income. And you'll see why slow isn't the consolation prize. It's actually the safest road there is. So grab a cuppa. Let's get into it. First, let's clear something up, because it matters. If $1 million feels impossible right now, you are not behind. You haven't failed. You've just been handed the wrong story. Because the internet is absolutely flooded with fast millionaires. The 25-year-old with 3 investment properties and a Lamborghini. The crypto win that turned $5,000 into 500. The overnight business that anyone can copy. And that story does 2 very sneaky things to you. First, it makes you feel like you've already missed the boat. Like the door closed and you weren't quick enough. And second, it quietly pushes you toward risky shortcuts. The kind that usually end in a loss you can't afford. But here's the thing. There are 2 completely different games being played here. There's the fast millionaire, rare, risky, mostly luck, even when it's dressed up as skill. And there's the slow millionaire, boring, steady, almost mechanical. This whole video is about the second one, because for the everyday Australian, the slow path isn't a worse version of the dream. It's the only version that actually reliably works. So how does an ordinary person actually get there? No tricks, no insider secrets. It comes down to just 3 ingredients: money in, time, and compounding. Now, compounding sounds like a finance word, so let me make it simple. Compounding is just your returns earning their own returns. You invest. That money earns a bit. Then that bit earns its own bit. And on it goes. In the early years, it feels painfully, frustratingly slow. You put money in, and barely anything seems to happen. That's normal. But give it long enough, and the curve stops crawling and goes almost vertical. Here's a quick picture of it. Invest a few hundred a month, and after 10 years you might have around 60 or 70,000. Feels slow, but keep going. By 20 years, that same habit is pushing past 200,000. And by 30 years, it can roll past $1 million. Same monthly amount the whole time. The magic was never the amount, it was the years. And most of that final balance isn't even the money you put in. It's growth stacked on top of growth over decades that you never had to lift a finger for. That's why the people who win this game aren't always the highest earners. They're the ones who simply stayed in the longest. And here's the part that's unique to us, here in Australia. You've already got an engine running in the background, right now, while you sleep. It's called superannuation. Today, your employer is legally required to pay 12% of your wage into your super. That's been the rate since the 1st of July, 2025. The highest it's ever been. You don't have to lift a finger. It just lands there, every single pay. And that money gets invested for decades, taxed lightly at just 15% going in. For most Australians, super is quietly doing a huge share of the heavy lifting. You just never feel it, because you can't touch it until you retire. All right, the number you actually came for. Let's do it. To keep this honest, we'll use a calm, conservative return of 8% a year. Now, the Australian share market has actually done closer to 9 or 10% over the long run, once you count dividends. But we'll deliberately lowball it. That way the plan still holds up through the rough years. So here's the headline. To reach $1 million in 30 years, you need to invest around $670 a month. That's it. About $670 a month for 30 years. Now wait, because this is where it gets genuinely interesting. Let's say you earn a full-time wage of around $100,000, roughly the average for a full-time worker today. Your employer is already tipping $12,000 a year into your super. That's about $1,000 a month, going in automatically, whether you think about it or not. So a big slice of that 670 is already being handled for you. The gap you actually need to close yourself? Much, much smaller than the scary headline number. That's the part the fast money crowd never, ever mentions. You're not starting from zero. You're starting with an engine that's already turning. But the single biggest lever isn't how much you put in, it's when you start. And I want you to feel this one. So find your tier. If you start at 25, with about 40 years until 65, you need roughly $290 a month. If you start at 30, around 35 years, it's about $436 a month. If you start at 35, 30 years to go, it's that $670 a month. If you start at 40, 25 years left, it jumps to around $1,050 a month. And if you start at 45, with 20 years on the clock, it's about $1,700 a month. Now look at that jump. Really look at it. Waiting from 25 to 45 doesn't just double what you need. It nearly 6 times it. Let me put it as 2 people. Emma starts at 25, puts in her $290 a month, and then basically forgets about it. Jack waits until 45, and now has to find $1,700 a month to reach the same finish line. Emma puts in far less money in total. Jack scrambles, and they both arrive at the same million. The difference between them was never income. It was time. Every year you wait, time does less of the work, and you're forced to do more. Which is why the most powerful day to start was years ago, and the second most powerful day is today. Now, let's be honest about what can go wrong, because plenty can. First, inflation. This is the big one nobody wants to mention. $1 million in 30 years will not buy what $1 million buys today. At normal inflation, it might feel more like $480,000 in today's money. Still life-changing, still absolutely worth it. But aim higher than $1 million if you possibly can. Second, the market does not move in a straight line. Ever. Some years it falls 10%, sometimes 20%, sometimes more, and it'll feel awful. The slow millionaires don't panic and sell at the bottom. They keep calmly buying through the dips. A crash to them is just shares on sale. And third, this is the quiet killer, the one that gets almost everyone. Lifestyle creep. Every pay rise gets swallowed up. A bigger car, a bigger mortgage, a bigger everything. And so the investing just never starts. The danger was never that the maths was too hard. The danger is that the plan never actually begins. So how do you tilt the odds in your favor? A handful of simple levers. 1. Start now, even if it's tiny. Time matters far more than the amount. 2. Use low-fee index funds so fees don't quietly eat away at your returns for decades. 3. Look into salary sacrificing a little extra into super, where it's taxed gently. 4. Reinvest your dividends and let those Aussie franking credits work in your favor. 5. And this is the big one. Every time you get a pay rise, lift your investing before you lift your spending. Notice something about that list. None of it is clever. None of it is exciting. None of it would go viral. And that is exactly why it works. So here's the real truth about the average Aussie millionaire. They weren't smarter than you. They didn't crack some secret code. They didn't get lucky on one big bet. They simply made a few small, slightly boring decisions, and then they repeated them for a very long time. Money in, time, compounding, plus an engine called super, already humming along in the background. $1 million was never a lottery ticket. It's the slow, steady, almost inevitable result of starting early and staying in. Slower than you think, but so much more certain than you've been led to believe. And the best part? You can start tonight from that same kitchen table with whatever you've got. If this gave you a bit of calm and a bit of clarity tonight, Do me a favor and subscribe. We break down the real Australian numbers, one honest video at a time. No hype, no nonsense. And if you're now wondering exactly how much you'll need to actually retire comfortably here in Australia, watch this one next. Your plan doesn't start one day. It starts today. Quick reminder before you go. This is general information only, not personal financial advice. Every number here is illustrative, so take it, run your own, and make the plan your own.